Should you use indie rights to distribute your indie feature film? Today, I'm talking with a filmmaker who has worked with indie rights on several projects, and we're going to talk about his experience. Dwayne Alexander Smith is a screenwriter, a producer, a director, an author who has made films such as See Dick Run, Pay the Lady, and the upcoming You Picked the Wrong One. Dwayne and I discuss not only his experience with indie rights, but also his thoughts on the state of independent filmmaking in general. Dwayne is an industry professional who has a lot of great knowledge to share, and I guarantee you're going to want to stick to the end on this one. Here's my interview with Dwayne Alexander Smith. I figured maybe we should start a little bit with your background in filmmaking. How did you get started in this industry?
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, I walked into a movie theater and saw Star Wars. So yeah, that's how old I am. And I decided that I wanted to make movies. And after that, it was all kind of like a straight shot towards, doing everything I could to get in the film industry. So I started working just doing, like, I was ushering a movie theater, and then I started working as a PA on movies. And I got a job at a camera rental house, and I learned all the equipment. And I never went to school. I never went to school for film. I just kind of self-taught. And at some point, there was a spec boom where they was buying specs for like millions and millions of dollars. And I'm like, I'm gonna write me a script and I'm gonna make $1 million. So I started trying to figure out how to write screenplays. And I would read like a spec sold for whatever amount in the trades, and then I had a connection in New York who can get any spec, and I started grabbing those specs and reading them and learning how to write them, and then I finally actually sold a spec, and I moved out to LA, and I became a screenwriter, professional screenwriter, and working, doing assignments, selling spec. I sold a lot of spec scripts, 7 to 8 spec scripts, working a lot of assignments, and always wanted to make movies, always wanted to produce, so I started attaching myself to my own projects as producer. Then I started making small little movies, like putting my own little movies together. So where I'm at now is that I actually have more producing credits than writing credits. And the biggest project I've ever produced, I think, was like about 5 million. So that was pretty good. And the smallest, I won't even tell you what the smallest was. But, and to date, I'm like making very micro budgeted features and getting them out on Tubi and Amazon and Apple TV. And because, doing it that way, there's no gatekeepers. I don't have to, worry about scrambling to find investors and things like that. I could just put the deal together and just make the movie as quick as possible. Although I do have some bigger projects in the works. So that's kind of the short history of me.
Now, you've been in this industry for quite some time now, so I'm curious of what your thoughts are as far as the industry of independent filmmaking as a whole now. You just mentioned that you're moving on to those kind of smaller budget films, so you don't have to deal with all the BS of Hollywood and all of that. So I'm curious your take, like, especially like maybe during that spec boom compared to now, how has the industry kind of shifted as a whole for indie filmmaking?
The industry itself has changed a lot since I got into it. Because when I got into it, I made a good living just writing original stuff and then setting it up. They wouldn't make all of these projects. I've sold way more things that they actually made. But it was still, the studios were buying original projects. But now, like, they were making smaller movies, original movies. But now it's not like that. The studios don't, all they make is, stuff based on novels or based on comic books or based on TV shows. They don't really make little movies. So in terms of independent filmmaking, when I was making film or trying to make films, everybody had the dream of getting their movie in the movie theaters and stuff, but that's not even thought about anymore. You make an independent film, it's going straight to some streamer or whatever. So that's a big change also. Basically, small films don't get into theaters anymore. That doesn't happen. It's very rare.
I'm curious in terms of like putting budgets together for these new projects that you've been doing. How exactly are you putting those together? Like, are you doing crowdfunding? Are you self-financing? Like, what does that whole process look like if you're not necessarily trying to get investors involved?
Well, honestly, it's just friends and family, literally friends and family. I mean, because the budgets are so small, when I say small, I mean, they're not super small, but they're small. But it's still, I have a lot of very successful friends, and they all work in the industry right away. And we all kind of get together, we invest together, and then we make the project. So we're talking about sub $100,000 projects. Yeah. So I'm not like going out and, or at least on these smaller projects, I'm not going out and trying to find stranger investors to invest in these projects. I'm just, like I said, it's friends and family. Now on the bigger projects, like I'm working on a movie right now called Galaxies, and that's it's about a $2 million movie. So that, yeah, we're going around trying to find investors. That's different.
One thing with independent filmmakers, I think a lot of them are they don't really know how to approach the ask, as I like to call it. Like, how do you, I know you're working a lot with friends and family and all that, but as far as like approaching somebody with money to partner up on a project or something like that, what is your advice as far as, just like the ask?
With these smaller projects, the ask is kind of easy because I could show them very easily how they can it's all about making money, right? If you want to get money from someone, you got to show them how they're going to make money, unless they just want to donate money to you. I guess that's possible too. But with my friends, I mean, even though they're my friends, they still want to make money. So I was very easily able to show them how, if we put this X amount into a project, it would put out this amount. Nobody's going to get rich, but we make a nice little profit and we all get to make a movie. It was basically that simple. It's all about, so you talk about the ask. If you're talking friends and family, you got to figure out how to make it clear to them how they're going to get their money back and how they're going to maybe make a little money. Sometimes people are just happy just giving their money back. They just want to support you, in that sense. But you got to be able to show how that, like, a clear path to that happening. And for me, I mean, with my movies, I mean, they were basically a piece of, I mean, I cared about them. I wrote the best movies I could and everything, but they were a piece of business. I mean, I really figured out how these movies can make money. And I was able to show that. And that made the people involved, confident enough to put the money in.
Before we move on, I wanted to quickly go over some of the ways that you can support me. The easiest way is subscribing to my channel and watching my latest videos. I've also started a membership program that gives you early access to videos before they go live. It starts at just $3 a month on YouTube and Patreon, and if memberships aren't your thing, you can buy individual posts directly on Patreon without the membership fee. My feature film Cashing Out is available to watch on major platforms like Amazon and Apple TV, and you can even watch for free on platforms like Tubi, Plex, and YouTube. If you want to support directly, there's a pay what you want option on my own OTT platform that starts at just $2. And if you do watch the film, it would mean the world to me to leave a review on IMDb, Letterboxd, or your favorite platform. Lastly, if you're interested in my future film projects, you can sign up for my email list. I have some exciting new films that I can't wait to share with you all. All of these items will be linked in the description below. Thank you so much for the support. Now let's get back to the show. As far as like getting that money together and asking and all that, I'm assuming that, it probably took some time to get there for you. Like, how long would you say it took you to kind of get comfortable as far as your projects and all of that, and then being able to approach these people for this money?
I've had a relative amount of success as a writer. I also write books. So, I mean, my friends and family know that I've been making a living as a professional writer for like over 20 years or so. So they know I understand the business. I've been involved in big, huge projects. I've been involved in small projects. I've been into every studio, had meetings with all these execs, know a lot of producers, know a lot of people. So they were confident I knew what I was doing. I mean, I'm not like a guy walking up the street just trying to make a movie. Like, I understand the film business just to, at least good enough to give them the confidence to invest in me. So I think that is a part of it, they trusted me. They didn't, I wasn't going to rip them off or anything. So it's pretty transparent. But yeah, I mean, the money thing is if you're a person that's like just starting out and you're trying to raise money for a project, I think the best way to go about, I mean, my opinion is, because today, man, you can make a movie for almost nothing. I mean, really, you can make a movie, really low budget, a short film, whatever. So you got to show people that you're serious about what you're doing. You're passionate about what you're doing. Like, make something. Don't wait for people to give you money. Take the money you have and just make something and show people that you can get it done. And then people will start to believe in you and back you. That's what I believe.
So, kind of playing off that a little bit, if you had to kind of start over today, or maybe say like in the last 5 years or so, with the knowledge that you have now, what do you, how do you think you would approach filmmaking as a whole?
Well, the good news is, like I said before, I mean, the way things are now, you don't need a lot of money to make a movie. You really don't. Like, the equipment. I mean, you could make a movie with an iPhone. I mean, I know some people would like say, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I know, man. You could make a movie with an iPhone. I mean, one of the movies we shot 24p, 4K, and an iPhone can do that. An iPhone can do that. Um, so to me, like, if you're just starting out and you just want to like make a movie, um, the money, don't let the money thing get in your way. Like, I mean, you might need a little bit of money. If you had $1,000, I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but if you had $1,000, you had the will and the passion, you could get it done. I mean, but here's the thing. Here's the important thing. You got to be smart about it. You got to understand what you can do with a small budget. Like, you can't have a script with like, 20 different locations. You got to plan it to be done on a small budget. Like, like if you're going to if it's a feature, it all takes place in one house. It all takes place in one location where you don't have to have all these company moves and things like that. You could just, like the last movie, the movie I just shot, we shot the entire movie in one house. And we shot it in 6 days. And the only way we could do that is because we didn't have to have company moves and stuff. We just moved from room to room. Now if you look at that movie, the movie looks like it takes place in different houses and different places, but everything's done in one house. It's just all cheated and stuff. So the point is that if you're going to make a low budget movie, you're going to spend $1,000 or whatever you're going to spend. You got to plan it to be a low budget movie. You can't write a movie with a lot of locations or a lot of actors, or you got to plan it. You got to plan it to be low budget. So you got to be smart about it in that sense. And in terms of what you're going to do with the film afterwards, I would say, I mean, some people, they want to make movies like just for art. They have something to say to the world. And some people want to make movies because they want to make a cool movie and they want to make some money. So you got to plan that also. If you want to make a cool movie and make some money, you got to figure out what people want to see, like what people are interested in, because, there's a lot of competition now. There's a lot of things like competing for your attention, the streaming and the internet and gaming and stuff like that. So you got to come up with a concept that's hooky and cool, even though it's low budget. All my movies are small budget, but they have big, like high concept ideas. So that would be a thing too. So good idea, smart planning, and don't let the money thing stop you at first. I mean, everybody I think has the ability to get some, like $500, $1,000. I know a guy who just made a movie I think he made a movie for around 2 or 3,000, and the movie's fantastic. It gets really, and he shot it on iPhone, and it's great.
So kind of playing off that a little bit, I'm curious your take on this as far as trying to keep the budgets low, because I'm assuming that you've worked with, kind of a wide array of different size cast and crew. As far as like, what do you think you minimally need on set crew wise in order to accomplish, a decent production on a fairly low budget?
So the last movie I made, right, later, a very small crew. So what you need, what is essential if let's say you're making a movie and the budget is 10 grand, right? 10 to 20 grand, right? What's essential to get a solid movie? You gotta get a DP that knows what the hell they're doing. You got to find someone who knows what the hell they're doing and has a decent camera. You could shoot an iPhone too, but you definitely need a DP who knows what he's doing. And then that DP, I think, is essential. Is they got to have a partner, a gaffer who works with. I mean, that's all about the lighting of the movie. It has to look good, right? So that you gotta nail that down. You make a deal, make that happen somehow. One of the ways to make that happen with a DP is you have a project that the DP thinks it will look great on his reel. That he thinks it's gonna, it appeals to him. So it's not just about money for them. They're like, I want to have this project on my reel. It'd be cool. Another essential thing, you gotta have great sound. Like, not even good sound, great sound. Because the worst thing that makes a movie seem cheap is bad sound. So you're gonna pay a little bit extra for a sound man, but it's gonna be worth it. Okay. The last movie I made, I hired this great sound man. He's one of the highest paid people on the set. There's a reason for that. because the sound has to be fantastic. Sorry to curse, but it has to be fantastic. And it was so good that it saved me so much money in post, because all the post sound work, you don't have to do all that. So those are essential. Another essential thing is, and something that doesn't really cost you a lot, is you gotta get good actors, man. You can't just go around and your friends say, hey, let's make a movie. I know it's tempting to do that, but that's gonna make your movie look super low budget and cheap. You gotta find people who know how to act. Now, I'm not saying you gotta use SAG actors, but you're gonna have to have auditions. You have to go through that whole process and find people who can really act. That's gonna make your movie stand out above low budget movies, like in incredible ways. You gotta have good actors, right? And that doesn't cost you anything. It just takes time to find the people who could actually perform in your movie. I know, you say, oh, I'm gonna pay these actors. I make deals with actors all the time. I pay everybody on my movies. Everybody gets paid. I don't pay them huge salaries, but they do get paid. And again, you're trying to get people excited about your project, then they'll do stuff for you. I'll tell you a story. So real quick, in my last movie, it was the last day of shooting, and I was about to pay everyone, because I paid by the last. It was 6-day shoot. I'm about to pay everybody. I go over to one actor and I said, hey, how do you want me to send your money? You want me to send it a check, or you want it digital? And he said, wait a minute, I'm getting paid for this? I said, what? You didn't know you were getting paid? He said, no, man, I was just doing the strength, man. I love the script. So they was just, I didn't never told him he wasn't getting paid, but it was a miscommunication. But he liked me, he liked the project so much that he was willing to show up every day and do it for free. So you got to find people who believe in your project and they're on your side. That's essential also. And another thing that I think, for me, is essential, if you're directing the movie, you need somebody on the set, right, who is running your set. You need like an AD. You need somebody who knows, like, keep things moving if you got to shoot fast, right? And if you're directing the movie, you can't be directing the crew and directing the actors and the camera. So you need somebody on your set to push the crew and keep things moving. That, to me, that's very important also. So those things are essential. Things you could save money on. Actors could do their own makeup, right? If you want to, here's the thing. Everything you put in front of the camera has to look good. I mean, like, when I say that, I mean, like, if you're going to get a single location, get a location that looks good, that looks amazing. Because that's going to be in front of your lens, this going to be your film. This going to be like a character in your movie, right? Depending on the type of movie, you make it a comedy, get good looking people. Put them in good looking clothing. Make it all look good. Like, don't just get somebody's apartment and shoot. The apartment just looks like that and just shoot. No. I mean, it's free to, like, dress the apartment, make it look nice, make it look neat, make it look whatever. Look, if you look at all those Hallmark movies, right? I know they're Hallmark movies, but look at those movies. Look at how the houses look, how the interiors look, right? You got, those things add production value to your projects, and that stuff doesn't cost you anything. So those are things to think about. I would tell my friends to say, when I cast an actor to be in my movie, the actor is going to be wearing a jacket. He's going to look like he's in a movie. He's not going to just be wearing jeans and a dumpy, unless that's the character. But those are little tricks that I use. I use good-looking people, good-looking clothing, good-looking locations. Important.
Now, you kind of answered this in your answer there, but I'm curious your take on this, because when a lot of people start out making independent films, or, just even just like student-like films, you're asking for a lot of favors. You're asking for a lot of things for free. I know you just said that you believe in paying people, and I think everybody at the end of the day believes in paying people. At least I hope they do. But what do you think, like, what is your take on working for free, either as crew or an actor? And how do you ask for, maybe not even just asking for favors for free, but even asking for low rates?
Like I said, I don't ever ask anybody to work for free. I don't believe in that. And I don't think you get the best out of people. I mean, you respect your own project too, But here's the thing. Here's the trick. It's not really a trick. It's just the thing. It's like, you don't have to pose and pretend you're a big Hollywood producer, or you're making a little movie. This is your little project. Just be honest with people. I'm trying to make this movie. I don't have a lot of money. I told my crew what my budget was. I said, this is the budget. This is what I got to spend on this movie. I don't got a lot of money, but I think this is a cool script. Let's get it done. And I always tell people, if you don't believe in a project, then just keep moving. I have no problem with that. But I'm very honest. I don't have a lot of money. This is what I have to spend on this movie. This is what I have to pay you for this movie. And that's it. I just keep it really honest. I don't pretend that I'm a big budget producer or big producer or anything like that. I said, we're going to shoot with this small crew. We're going to do this. We're going to cut some corners, but we're going to get it done. It's going to look good. I'm just super honest about it.
Now, the reason that we're talking today is you reached out to me because like I put a call out. I was like, if you've worked with indie rights, I want to talk to you because at least at this point, nobody's talked to me, or I haven't made a video about indie rights, and I've always been really curious about it. But you've also worked on a lot of projects in the past too, so I'm curious, like with your films that maybe before you started with indie rights, like you directed the movie See Dick Run. I'll admit I haven't seen it, but I'm a huge Kel Mitchell fan, so I'm I'm excited just on that fact alone. But with your older projects, maybe I don't know how long indie rights has been around, but before we get into indie rights, what did the distribution process look like for you on your films?
Okay, so that's a good question. So now it's completely different. Like back when I made See Dick Run, you had to go find a distributor. The distributor had to want to pick up your movie. Then, you had to try to get them to advance you money, but it was almost impossible. And honestly, back then, not so much now that I can see, but back then they were all crooks. They were all crooks. Like 100%. Like they're going to find a way to, or try to rip you off. Right. So it was very bad. It was a very bad situation. In the See Dick Run situation, I'm not going to say the distributor, but I had a distributor. I found a distributor that they even gave you, this is a minimum guarantee we're going to give you and all this crap. And none of that ever came to fruition. I literally had to fly to New York and go to the office to get in the dude's face to get the guy to write me a check for the money they owed me. So that was a bad, and that's not the only project that happened. I worked on many projects. Several projects that had the same situation where you're trying hard to find somebody who's honest, and it always ends up you getting screwed somehow, right? So, but now things are different. Because now you have these companies that kind of like more like aggregators than actual distributors. So that's where we can go into the indie rights stuff.
What initially drew you to indie rights as a distribution partner?
And I decided to get into this whole Tubi movie, streaming movie thing. My thing was, I could make a movie, but I'm not making a movie to make a distributor rich. I got to find a distributor I trust that I know is not going to rip me off, right? So I did a lot. I did a deep dive into all these places, Film Hub and all these places. I did a deep dive into all that. I wanted to talk to people who work with them. I wanted to find out who's getting paid, who wasn't getting paid, who had disputes, who didn't have disputes. I found some stuff on Facebook and other groups, people talking about distributors, and I read all that stuff, right? Now, I challenge anyone watching this to go onto those groups, right, and search for indie rights, and I challenge you to find someone that says anything bad about that company. You can find something bad about every other company, even Film Hub. You can find stuff, Film Hub, this and this. You will not find a single, at least I didn't, you will not find a single negative thing about indie rights. So that was my starting point. Like I couldn't find one negative comment about indie rights. And then I learned some other things about them. This is the most transparent. I can't give you specific details as to why I'm saying this, but if you speak to anyone who's ever worked with indie rights, they will tell you this is the most transparent distributor in the world, in my opinion. Nobody does business like indie rights does. I talked to the owner today. I said, I'm going on this show and I'm going to talk about your company. And I said, can I tell them what you do and how you do it? And she said, well, you can say that with you, but you can't say how. So I can't say how. She won't let me say it. But if you talk to anyone, literally what I saw, when I saw the transparency level of indie rights, that's what made me make my final decision to go with them. The transparency level is off. You won't believe how transparent they are. And that's what you need to know to protect your money, protect your investment. So that's why I really love working with them. And the woman who runs it, her name is Linda Nelson. She's very reachable. I can email her anytime. I can call her. This is a great company. They go to Cannes, they go to all the film markets, they try to shop your movie. Now they will tell you straight up, they don't do any marketing. They're very, very honest. We don't do marketing. We're not gonna market your movie. We'll give you advice on how to market it. And she does. She gives all this advice. She has these stuff she sends you. Says, but you gotta market your movie. You gotta do that work. So they work more like they're a distributor, but they work more like an aggregator. They'll take your movie if they like it, because they don't take everything, but if they like it, they'll take it and they'll put it on different platforms. And they take 20%. That's it. No other charges, no marketing fees, no hidden fees, no nothing like that.
So I want to dive into that a little bit more here in a second, but I'm curious, how many projects now have you distributed with Indie Rights?
Well, I have one. So City Run, Pay the Lady, and You Picked the Wrong One is coming out. I just signed with them. They just picked it up, so it's gonna come out in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
What were your main goals with distribution with Indie Rights? I mean, obviously revenue is the main one, but was there anything aside from the transparency and all that that kind of attracted them or attracted you to them? Like, did they have specific platforms? Like you talk about Tubi a lot, but was there anything else, kind of that you haven't talked about yet that really attracted you to them?
No, I wanted a place that can get my movie in places where I can make money. I wanted to get it on Amazon and Apple and YouTube. And I mean, anybody can put their movie on YouTube, but they have a channel on YouTube. But I just wanted a place that could take my movie and put it into places where it can make money. So they can get on any streaming platform, anything. They can even get stuff on, I haven't had that experience. They can even get stuff on bigger things. It depends on the movie. But I just wanted someplace that can definitely get my movie out. That was it. It was that simple.
With these different platforms, like if you go to Indie Rights' website right now, they'll list like a few platforms that they're on. Now, is there platforms, like, do they give you a list or like, we're going to get you on all these different platforms and it's kind of a guarantee? Do they have kind of a master list and they're like, we're going to attempt to get on certain platforms? Because like Film Hub, for an example, they don't guarantee that you're going to get on any platforms, but they're constantly pitching. So I'm curious, like if they're like, we're going to get you on Amazon, Tubi, et cetera, as a guarantee, as a partnership with us.
I don't know if they guarantee that they're gonna get you on anything. I don't know about that at all. I just, again, I had a way of seeing like all the platforms they deal with and the ones they deal with the most and the ones that make the most money. And I was really, look, okay, let's just be honest. My biggest concern was getting my movie on Tubi because that's where the movies were making the most money, right? The other ones, I didn't really care about that much. I mean, Amazon and Apple, they don't really make that much money. I mean, my last thing, made like $35 on Amazon. I made nothing, right? Tubi's where I wanted to be because the movies on Tubi make a lot of money. So that was really my main thing. And honestly, if she didn't put it on any other platform, I wouldn't even care. But now things are changing. So she was explaining to me a couple of weeks ago, I had a meeting with her, and she was explaining that YouTube is blowing up in terms of these movies now. Like people make a lot more money on YouTube with these movies, and they're doing a whole thing where they have a channel and you show your movie for free on YouTube with and people make a lot of money. They're almost comparable to what Tubi is doing. So now I want my movie. So she was telling me, if you make a movie, make sure that it can pass for YouTube. Like you don't have too much violence, you don't have too much nudity, but you want it to play on YouTube also.
What, in terms of deliverables and all of that, did you have to prepare for Indie Rights? Because I know that's a big concern for filmmakers. And I've looked at the list, to be transparent, I've looked at the list, but having you had that experience with them, like what do you recall some of the deliverables that you needed? And did they work with you at all to get those done?
No, they don't work with you because the deliverables, the list is very clear, right? And it's not that hard to do, honestly. It's so what happens is you work with your editor to create these things that they need. But it's pretty straightforward. They need some artwork. You got to have artwork for your movie, right? You got to have the movie in a certain format. The editor can do that for you. I'm trying to think of anything that would have been. They said they have a music cue sheet, but that's created by I got that from the editor. Actually, he had a list of it. So it was nothing on that deliverable thing that was super challenging. The most challenging thing I think on the list is their filing system, which is annoying. They have this way they want everything filed on the hard drive. That's annoying. But big deal. The artwork part is a little challenging for some people because then, you got to have good artwork. You got to have a certain format. You got to have a certain quality of the image. So that's stuff you got to really work on. And then when you give them with indie rights, when you give them the hard drive, they keep the hard drive. You never get the hard drive back. So, but I'm just trying to go over the list. I just did it. There's nothing really, like when I first started doing it, I was like, where am I going to get a cue sheet from? Like, how am I going to do that? But it was all very simple. So it's not hard. You just have to just attack it. I mean, and just do it. Just get it. It tell you exactly what they want. So just follow the list. It's quite simple, actually.
Do you know what kind of films that they take in terms of quality? Because like Film Hub, like I'm not going to say that they take anything, but if you have decent sound, if you have decent picture and all of that, they're probably going to take your film. But I know that they can be a little, at least I've heard from other interviews, they can be a little bit more selective. So I'm curious if you have any insights there.
So indie rights used to have a reputation of just taking anything, like literally, like, and back in the day, you on Tubi at least, like they would accept almost anything. Like I'd be shocked at the level of quality I'd see some of these movies, but indie rights is a little more selective now in terms of like because the streaming services are getting more selective also. So in terms of types of movies, I've run into people who've been rejected by indie rights. I don't know, maybe they don't like they actually when I submitted Scenic Run, at first they said no. But Scenic Run was but I submitted Scenic Run after they'd already been out for like 10 years. So they were like, no. But I convinced them that, that's Kel Mitchell, there's people in it. It's Paige Kennedy, Kel Mitchell, so they're not just grabbing anything. I will say that. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. Okay, because I know a lot of people say, they just take anything, But here's the thing. What's cool about indie rights and other aggregators like this is that they give filmmakers a place to take their movies and get it in front of people, right? I know that not every filmmaker is capable, at least at first, of making a polished, finished movie, right? But it's kind of cool that you can make a movie, try your best, to tell a story, and actually get it out there. If it's not up to snuff, then people just won't watch it, or some people will, some people won't. But sometimes I'll go on Tubi and I'll watch some of these movies because I respect the hustle. I know how hard it is to make a movie. No matter on what level you're doing, it's hard to make a movie and finish it and get it out there and get it on Tubi. It's not easy. I know it might seem easy, but it's not really. So I get it. They just take anything. These movies are garbage. But I gotta say, when I first started in this business, I was making Super 8 movies. I was scrambling, like trying to get anything done. So when I see people making movies and even movies with their friends and everything, getting it out there, because you know what happens? They get their movie out there, they make a little bit of money maybe, and then they go make another one and do it better, and they get better and they get better, and they get a little bit more professional. And some people capture that passion, some don't. But I like the idea of people having access to it's like with self-publishing, right? Anybody can go on Amazon and publish a book. Have you seen some of these books that's been published on Amazon? Like they're unreadable, but they get their book out. You're able to get it out there and see what they can do. I kind of like that.
I know that Indie Rights has a 3-year contract. Is that's the contract that you're under, I'm assuming? How easy is that renewal process? How many times have you renewed at this point, or are you still pretty early in your journey with them?
I haven't renewed. I haven't been, like, my oldest one is Pay the Lady, and it's not for renewal yet. So I haven't gone through that process yet.
And with the contract, it's all non-exclusive, or it's all exclusive, right?
Yeah. Well, I can't have it with another distributor or anything like that. No. Yeah.
But like if you wanted to, upload to a platform that they don't use, do you have the freedom to do that, or is pretty much everything straight through them?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that because it's never. I don't know. I don't know how that situation would actually occur. Like you saying, like could I upload it to YouTube?
Yeah, but let me rephrase this a little bit because is it worldwide rights that you're selling to them,
Yeah.
or is it just like North
No,
American
they
or
can. They can.
certain
They
territories?
have the. They can shop it anywhere in the world, and they can set up deals
Okay.
anywhere in the world with the movie. Yeah.
How transparent are they with the revenue process? Do they kind of give you like how often are they giving you reports as far as what you made? Like is it kind of just like one number, this is what you made? Are they kind of breaking it down by platform? Are they showing you any kind of like streaming numbers or anything like that? Like walk me through that process a little bit.
Yeah. They show you. They show you everything. They show you each platform. They show you streaming impressions and all that stuff. It's all there in their report. Is it every 3 months you get a report, and it has like it's broken down by, like I said, impressions and each platform and how much you made, blah 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 blah, and how much they take out. And it's all there. It's all broken down. Yeah.
Are they paying quarterly too then?
Yes. Pay quarter. Well,
How do they
when you first get your movie, it takes 6 months. You skip a quarter. So the first time you get paid, it's
sure.
going to take you 6 months to see a check.
Are they paying you like via direct deposit or like Film Hub pays through PayPal for an example?
PayPal. And I don't have PayPal, so I gotta work. I can't use PayPal, so I gotta use my brother to get my anyway, whatever. Yeah, they do PayPal. Yeah. Well, they PayPal, but if it's over a certain amount, then it's a wire transfer.
You said that they don't do they're pretty open about not marketing your film. So having some success here with your films and being happy with them overall, what marketing efforts did you do yourself and what's kind of your advice there?
Okay, so marketing is like my kryptonite, like my weak point, which is not a good weak point to have, actually. Um, and I'm trying to improve on that so with this movie, the one that's coming out now, I got a whole marketing strategy set up. I didn't have that for the other movies. I just was kind of winging it, and winging it's not good enough. Marketing is very important for these movies. Um, so what I was doing in the past, I'm going to do it again too. Also, is that there's a lot of groups on Facebook, people who are fans of these movies. There's big groups, like 20 and something thousand people, blah blah blah. So what we were doing, we were posting trailers in those groups, posting like just the poster and talking about the movie. I did with Peter Lady. I did a series of interviews with all the actors, and we posted those videos in there, just trying to keep the awareness up about the movie and getting people talking about it. So that was a big thing, and then putting videos on TikTok and trying to get people on TikTok to review the movie, just getting people talking about the movie. I didn't do anything like billboards or anything like that. We didn't really have a marketing budget per se. So yeah, just talking about it on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. That's it basically. But here's the thing: it's like with a book, right? Like you know, I also write books. I write books. I have several books published with Simon and Schuster. Um, they don't market your books. They don't do any marketing for your books. You got to go out there and market your book yourself. And mostly your books sell by word of mouth. And that's kind of the same with these videos. It's a lot of word of mouth involved.
How did your engagement or viewership compare to sort of your past distributors with compared to indie rights?
Me being like the lead producer on a project, um, I've only had like 4 projects like that. So I've done a lot of producing, but my producing that I've done in the industry was more creative. So I would develop scripts with writers and then hand it off to a producer that would actually physically make the movie. So that was a different situation. So, but in terms of like, so the only other distributor I've dealt with, oh no, what I had, so there was no way to track it. That's the thing. Back when I did CD Run and I did some movies before CD Run, there's no way to track it. There's no way to track. You're not getting any more money. They're not gonna send you another dime. So you have to like, so with CD Run, I had to go and get in the guy's face and look mean, and the guy wrote me a check. I don't know what that check is based on, but so honestly, I can't tell you how those movies did because they never. Once you handed over the movie, if you got some initial payment or something, you never saw another dime. it's almost like, and I guess you could sue them, but it's a whole mess. I don't even like talking about it. This gives me a bad feeling. But there's so many people in the same boat. It's like, I'm telling you, man. Back then it was awful.
Now, you mentioned that, Tubi was a big platform for you, but I'm curious, like, are you satisfied with the viewership numbers of other platforms? Like, what other platforms have done well for you with your movies so far?
None. I mean, I didn't do much on Amazon. Didn't do much on Apple. Didn't There's a bunch of other ones. I don't remember all of them, but those columns are always light, very light, like very, very light. Um, but here's the thing, well, for me at least, because some people, they're making movies that are like have a broader range of audience, like you're making horror movies or making an action movie. But I mean, the movies that I've made, they're very targeted to very specific niche audience that could only be found pretty much on Tubi. So it's like this audience of women who like these urban crime kind of story. Now, before I made my first movie, I did some research, right? And I could tell you without a doubt that that niche was making huge amounts of money, like huge amounts of money. On basically like you can make a movie for $5,000 and make 50, 100 grand, like easily. So that's why I got into it. So, um, I was targeted towards that. That's why I was so targeted towards Tubi, because I knew this audience lived on Tubi. That's where they can find the movie on Tubi. And if they found it and if they liked it and they started talking about it, you can make some good money. Now I was approached by this other guy who has he has a huge channel on YouTube where he puts up independent movies. I mean, he's one of the biggest. They've written articles about him in Variety. It's a huge, huge guy. And he said to me, "We want you in there." You picked the wrong one. He wanted to put it on his channel on YouTube. And I said, "Well, no, you can't put my movie on your channel on YouTube because you don't have a black audience. My movie's not going to be found on your channel on YouTube. The audience I'm looking for is on Tubi. That's where they're going to find my movie." So that's why, I was so strong set on Tubi. But I'm making a very specific product. Now, if you're making a horror film or something like that, Tubi might not be the best place for you. I don't know.
I don't want to say you put all your eggs in one basket, but does it concern you all or concern you at all? There's a lot of talks right now that the Tubi well is kind of drying up a little bit. I don't know if you've experienced that all recently. I definitely have. Like I wasn't making crazy numbers on Tubi, but I was doing pretty well on Tubi. Like I thought there for a minute my film was going to be profitable, and then everything just kind of dropped over the last 6 months or so. So what is your kind of outlook on Tubi as a whole? And have you found or heard of anything else maybe besides YouTube, or what's your kind of outlook from that perspective?
You know what? I don't know. Like, I have seen it drop. Tubi has changed a lot. Like when I first made Payday Lady, and before that, the movies were making a lot more money. But then Tubi was sold to another company, and then they started dropping on each other. It just changed, right? So like the money's not the same. It's still good if you, at least in their first release and first couple of quarters, it's good, but it doesn't hang in. It drops drastically, you know. So I don't know. I mean, to me, like she was pitching me this YouTube thing, and she showed me some numbers that the potential the movie could make on YouTube, and she got my interest. So when I edited You Picked the Wrong One, I made sure that it's something I could definitely show on YouTube also. So for me, I'm like thinking Tubi, then YouTube now, like hitting both, like doing the Tubi thing and then moving it over to YouTube or whatever. But I don't know where else. I don't know. I mean, uh, I don't know. I just don't. But the thing is that, like, right now with the budgets I'm making these movies, and it's still a decent piece of business. Um, I'm not making art, but I'm not making bad movies, but I'm not like trying to win any awards or anything. I'm just trying to make entertaining movies that people make some money. Yeah. And movies that I don't have a problem putting my name on.
What do you wish you had known before starting the distribution process?
I wish I'd known, I do wish I'd known how profitable these movies were a few years earlier than I found it out. Like, I wish I had known. I wish I was, in on that. I mean, it was like a gold rush, and I came in late. There was already people digging up, digging up all the gold when I came in, and then pandemic slowed everything down. So I wish I had known about it sooner, because now it's changing. But I think something else will come along. I'm hoping something else will come along. Tubi is changing a lot. Maybe another channel will come along like Tubi. There are a lot of other streamers out there. But Tubi does know the value, at least in my niche again. Tubi does know the value of the people, of the audience in that niche, and they cater to it a lot, actually. So I don't know if they're gonna completely ignore it. And honestly, think about it. If you look at the list of Tubi originals, look at the type of movies they are. Look at the type of movie. How many of those movies are like urban, female forward, kind of crime thriller type? There's a lot of them. I say the majority of them is in that niche. There's a reason for that. That's the reason I'm in that niche, because they get a lot of views. They get a lot of views. So as independent filmmakers, we got to know what audience we're shooting for. So I'm like, my friends, they say, hey, I'm making a movie. It's gonna be about this guy who I said, about a guy. You want somebody to watch your movie? No, don't make it about a guy. Make it about a female. A female lead. It's gonna be a comedy, but a comedy. I mean, yeah, you can make a comedy, but you're gonna be competing against a lot of other comedies, like even mainstream comedies. See, the thing about this niche that I'm in is that there's no competition from the big guys. The big guys are not making these movies. They're not making these movies in this niche. So this is the only place to find it. But if you make a horror films are good. Horror films are always good, right? But even a horror film, you're competing against a lot of other stuff. So I never tell anyone, don't do what you feel passionately about. But for me, I got to really understand the path to the payoff. I got to understand that path. I got to see it. I got to be able to show it to other people.
Why do you think Hollywood's not making films like these?
They've completely lost faith in audiences. Like, they just feel, and I guess because they're chasing the bigger paydays, right? So they just feel like, they got to make these big IPs and, because they want the big numbers. They're not interested in the small numbers anymore. But, because it costs more money to make movies now, and it costs more money for them to distribute to theaters now. The whole business has changed. It's a shame. It really is a shame, because when I was coming up, there's all kinds of movies, man. There was all kinds of cool little movies, by independent movies. Even the studios are making cool little movies. This doesn't happen anymore. All they want is the big payday. Now, sometimes when they do make little movies, like you got like A24s and the Blumhouses of the world that are still getting things out there, look, I'm not a big A24 fan. There's a couple of movies I like by them, but I like that they're making little movies and getting them out. I do like that. I do appreciate that. Blumhouse, the same thing, so there is a little bit of that too, but those places, those little companies, they're still dealing with like big talent. Like they're hiring big stars and stuff to be in those movies. Their movies still have significant budgets, unbelievably so. It's like, I'm like watching these movies, the little movies with these huge budgets. I'm like, I don't know. There was an Asian movie that came out 2 years ago. I forgot the name of it. It was a very little movie, like a little romance movie about some guy talking to his girl over the phone. And the budget was like 13 million. I'm like, 13 million? Where's the 13 million going? There's no stars. I think it was an A24 movie too. I think so. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah. The studios, they just chasing the big paydays. And I think things have to change, because some of these movies are not doing so well anymore.
I was just about to follow up with that. Do you see a world where things are going to shift? Because I feel like in some aspects we're in a bubble, because like you, I worked at a movie theater for 13 years before I kind of changed careers. So I was in the like I worked Avengers Endgame, before COVID. Like I was there. I see people only going to these kind of IP movies, and budgets are ballooning. Like at some point, like it's just not at least in my opinion, like that's not going to be sustainable. So, from your expertise and your time in the industry, do you ever see a point where those changes can happen and we might start seeing those tiny budgets again, like we did in the 90s?
I don't know if they can go back. I mean, they might have to. Well, okay, here's the thing. I think, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion for sure. So the whole thing with AI and the what's happening with AI and the democratizing of filmmaking with I see it as a good thing. I know people say, "What are you talking about? It's going to put people out of business." I see it as a good thing. I see it as, you know, now anybody can go out. I mean, not now, but soon. I mean, I have a friend who just released a thing that this is incredible. He made it with AI. The idea of being able to make a movie, like a real movie on your desktop, and it looks like a movie, and that's exciting to me. I mean, I know people are like, oh, you're gonna put people out of work, but what doesn't put people out of work? Every invention, everything puts somebody out of work, right? Like, and then you find some other way to make money, right? I'm a writer, so come on, I make my living writing, and GPT or whatever is the first thing attacks is writing, right? So yeah, but anyway, um, so that's going to change Hollywood a lot. I think it's going to change because the stuff that these people are putting out, I've been following this very closely. I've been following the short films. I've been like I said, my friend just has a series now. I mean, this stuff is looking. I mean, his thing is like a sci-fi action adventure thing. He's doing it on his desktop. It doesn't look photoreal yet, but it's getting damn close. It's looking good. And does it have to look photoreal? Could he just release it as an animated movie? So very soon people will be able to put out Pixar level, you know, feature films made on their desktop. Very soon, like very soon. And if they can write a good script and whatever, more power to them. So that's going to change Hollywood a lot. That's going to change it a lot.
Jumping back to indie rights really quick, do you plan to continue to work with them in the future with your new projects, or are you keeping your eyes open as far as like if something else comes along?
Well, if with these little projects, right, I'll probably stick with them. I don't have any reason to change. I mean, I thought about, it's interesting. I thought about changing on this last film because I have a friend who's with another company called, he's not a friend, he's one of my partners, one of my producing partners, but he made his own movie without me. And he went with a company, I'm trying to remember, Homestead. He went with a company called Homestead. And he put out his movie. The thing that Homestead has that I thought was really cool is that they have an app for your phone, and you can track how much money your movie is making on a daily basis. I thought that was friggin' amazing. Like, he would show me the graph, and every day you could see how much money your movie made. That is so freaking cool. So I was really tempted to like go with Homestead because of that. But I don't know shit about Homestead. I don't trust them. So I'm only going with people I trust. I mean, that app is it's like, it's a shiny object that could get me over there. That could get some people over there. But, I don't know those people. I would do a lot of research before I would put my movie in their hands. But he's doing fine. His movie did great, actually. So
what's your future look like as a filmmaker? Like what are you hoping for with your projects? Like, kind of what's your outlook there?
Well, as a filmmaker, I got like a lot, dude. I got so many projects. Like, I got projects on every level happening, right? So I got a picture at Mar Vista that I'm producing. So I got a picture. I had a thing with Netflix, but now it's not with Netflix, but it's with some really huge producers. It's based on one of my books, and Jay-Z's one of the producers. So I got different scale things going on. So my futures in filmmaking is more producing level stuff. Not even screenwriting, like just producing stuff and finding stuff to produce, and because I have so many connections now. So that's kind of my future in film. And then also I like making these little films because I'm the boss 100%. It's my thing. So I make all the decisions. I'm the decider. So I do like that. So even though it's on a very small level, I mean, maybe I can level it up. Like, I have another movie that I'm working on that it's a much bigger project. It's called Galaxies. I wouldn't release that through indie rights. I mean, we have Bruce Dern and uh and yeah, so it's like a much bigger movie. So that's something I wouldn't do with like indie rights. But these little micro budgeted movies, sure, why not? And they're fun to make. They're fun to make. They're fun to get them out there and I make some extra money. I'm not rich. I could any extra money I could get. And it's like a side hustle.
A follow up there, really quick. What budget level or what size project would you say is right for indie rights compared to finding something a little bit bigger?
That's going to depend on like comps. Like, say you want to make a horror film, you need to find out. Your business better be to find out how much money is horror films making. We're going through whatever distributor you're going through. Like, how much are they really making, right? And then make your movie for less than that. Like, sometimes people just come up with a budget and say, I'm just going to make this movie. I know exactly what these movies make, the ones that I make. And I know exactly what I need to make them for to make money. So I won't say a number for the indie rights thing necessarily. I mean, it's definitely under $100,000 for sure. But I know like, okay, my movie's going to make this much in 6 months to 8 to 12 months, whatever. It's going to make this much. So I got to make it for a quarter of that. That's just my business plan. That's my process. Right. So let's say the movie is going to make $100,000 in 12 months. I got to make it for $25,000.
What are you basing that number off of? Just from the comps that you had mentioned, like I've made this many movies and this is what it kind of brought in?
Comps? No, I get real comps, real numbers. I'm not going to say how I get them, but I do. I know exactly. I can find out. But I talked to, here's the thing. Okay. So I've met a lot of producers. I met a lot of people who make these movies. So I can talk to them. We can exchange numbers. We can exchange, so I can get some comps on what this type of movie's making and what they're really bringing home, like what kind of checks they're seeing. That's very important. You got to find that information out. It's not, you can't be a guessing game. I mean, to some degree it can, but like I met, like the great thing about social media, you go out there, you can meet these producers. They're out there. They're on Facebook. They're on Instagram. You can talk to them. You can befriend them. A lot of times they like to talk about their business, like to talk about what they're doing, right? And they'll share information with you, right? Because one time they were looking for that same information themselves, right? So talk to them. If you're making a horror film, talk to some people who've made little horror films and got them on Tubi or whatever. Talk to those people. Go meet them. I met a guy a couple of months ago. I was driving across country. This guy was in this little horror museum. And he makes horror films with Tubi and stuff. And we got to a big conversation about that. He was telling me, how much money he makes and everything. You need those hard numbers. I know people feel intimidated by asking people about, but you need them to make a smart decision about what you're doing. I would say one thing, if you're making a little movie, like, spending $100,000, $200,000, whatever, you're just digging a deep hole for yourself.
This question is for funsies, no real substance here, but I'm curious if you could have directed, produced, or just worked on any film, which would you choose and why?
Okay, so that's easy. So when I first came to town, right, I was getting a lot of meetings. Reading the screenplay that was Arnold Schwarzenegger, gonna be Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. I was getting all these big meetings, and they always ask you, "What movie? What do you want to work on? What do you want to work on?" And I'm like, "Oh, I want to write Speed Racer. I want to write Speed Racer," because I was like, Speed Racer, like growing up, and I just love Speed Racer. So I would always go into meetings and say, "Yeah, I want to write Speed Racer." This is before the Wachowski Speed Racer. This is way before that, and nobody was making Speed Racer. Nobody was like, "What the hell is this guy talking about?" But I did get hired to write. I wrote a manga. I wrote the Speed Racer comic book. So it came out, and then my manager represented the Wachowskis, and he told me they were going to make Speed Racer. So I said, "Well, you tell them." And I had met them. I had met them at a Matrix party or whatever. I said, "You tell them that nobody knows more about Speed Racer than I do. So you make a Speed Racer, they want me to consult on their movie. I'll fly out there for free and work on the movie for free." And they just said, they just ignore me. They don't, whatever. They don't care about me. But that would have been the project, Speed Racer, for sure. If my own projects, I would love to make a movie out of my book, the first novel I wrote that it's already set up with somebody else. But I would love to have made that movie myself, but it's out of scale for me to raise that kind of money that's needed and to get the kind of talent that's needed for the movie. Right now, it's out of scale, realistically.
Dwayne, thank you so much for coming on today. I mean, this was amazing to say the least. I could honestly talk to you for hours, and we might have to do a follow-up here if you're ever interested in coming back on. But I thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find your work, more about you? Plug everything away that you got.
Okay, well, on Facebook, you can just look up Dwayne Alexander Smith on Facebook, or Written by Smith. My author's page is Dwayne Alexander Smith, and I think my regular page is Dwayne Alexander Smith. I have 2 pages on Facebook. On X, but Twitter, Written by Smith. I'm on Twitter. I think that's what it is. I should be way more like knowledgeable about the social media stuff. I do have a movie coming out next month called You Picked the Wrong One. It'll be on Tubi. It's going to come on Amazon first. Then it'll be on Tubi, and it'll be on these other platforms and stuff. And I got movies out there now. I got City Run and Pay the Lady. And yeah, you can look at me on IMDb and see all the projects that I worked on, and want to check any of those out. But yeah, like, contact me. Oh, one other thing. I wrote a book about screenwriting called 10 Simple Rules to Write a Great Screenplay. And it's on Amazon, and some good advice there about how to write a screenplay. So check that out. That's really it.
I want to give another huge shout out to Dwayne for coming on the channel and talking with me. I mean, this was an incredible interview, and I'm sure you guys have learned a lot, and you're going to get a lot out of that. Definitely check out all of the links down in the description. I have all of Dwayne's stuff that he talked about here on the channel. This is also a call out for anybody who's worked with indie rights or maybe some other distribution options. I want to talk to pretty much anybody who's worked with anybody. So if you have some experience with distribution, feel free to reach out to me, and I would love to talk to you. Linda Nelson, you're definitely on my list. So if you would like to talk, feel free to give me a holler. If not, I'll reach out to you at some point in the future. But thank you all again so much for watching. My feature film, Cashing Out, is linked in the description, as well as some other goodies if you want to help support me. You can subscribe to the channel, like this video. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.